I'm Doreen Yu. I'm Associate Editor of the Philippine Star. I'm very happy in the place I'm in now as a Chinoy, as a Pinoy. And I've lived long enough that if anybody challenges what I am or tries to belittle what I am, I know enough to fight back, and I know I will win. Because whatever prejudices they may have, I know I can counter. Whatever they decide to say about my being a Chinese, my being Chinoy, neither here nor there, everything, all of that, I stand on solid ground, and I can answer any one of them. Be sure and catch Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, presented by CHiNOY TV.
Hi, I'm Janina Chan. I'm a TV host, I'm a podcaster, a columnist, and a content creator. Okay, so for our family, it's kind of like a mix of both traditional and modern, but in terms of upbringing, in terms of how we were raised, me and my sister, by our parents, I think it is similar to most families here in the Philippines. You know, we're both very family-oriented. I am a part of a very supportive family, so I'm also grateful that, especially my mom, she's always been supportive ever since I was a baby girl. Literally started young. And I'm so grateful for my family's encouragement and support in what I do. Being part of the One Chinoy campaign is definitely such an honor and also a responsibility. I am so happy to be here, to be able to reflect as well on my identity, and I feel more realigned to myself by doing so too. It's definitely been fun, and I love knowing more about where I belong. I'm grateful for where I'm going. Onwards, together as One Chinoy community. I'm inviting all of you to watch CHiNOY TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart.
Hello, I'm Nicole Cordoves, and I was Miss Chinatown 2014 and Binibining Pilipinas Grand International 2016. I think the biggest misconception is that we keep to ourselves, we're not so emotional, because growing up in a Chinese family, we don't really say, we don't state our feelings, we don't show our emotions, we're not touchy at all. And our parents don't even give us encouragement. Not that it's not entirely a bad thing, but more of they want us to stay humble. I'm really honored to be part of One Chinoy because I feel like we need to tell our story more. We need to open up a conversation more, and I know that ang dami nating Chinoy community members na naghahanap ng kausap, naghahanap ng mahuhugutan ng advice. So we need to be more present, we need to be more visible. And I'm inviting you guys to watch CHiNOY TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart.
Hi, I'm Patricia Ngo, and I'm a children's book writer here in the Philippines. Growing up, I didn't see a lot of representation of Chinoys, and I think that's why I wasn't really that sure about what it meant to be Chinoy. And Eventually, when I reached college, I learned about how culture isn't a pure and static thing. Cultures keep changing just as people do, and the Chinoy culture is just one way in which cultures kept changing. And I learned that there wasn't just one way of being Filipino. There were many ways to do so, and being Chinoy was a valid way of being Filipino. I think that this campaign is really important in helping bridge the gap between whatever miscommunications we might have with other cultures and other people. There are times when people misunderstand what it means to be Chinoy. They don't understand sometimes that the Philippines is still our home and that we are still Filipinos even with our different experiences. And I appreciate that this campaign helps bridge that gap and to clarify those misconceptions that people have. I'm inviting you to watch CHiNOY TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart.
Hi, I'm Rob Jam. I'm a illustrator, comic book creator, art director, and friend. Well, I just wanted to make comics as a kid. I didn't know it could be a career. I think even if you are from a Filipino family, if you tell them you want to be an artist, they're kind of afraid of it. Because yeah, there's such a misconception of how you can make money in art. I know that the Filipino-Chinese community or the Chinese community, it's so focused on what's sure to be a successful career path or a successful business or a successful whatever. And then art is such a thing outside of that. I feel very honored to be part of this because, yeah, I knew I was always a part of this community, but I've never really felt like recognition from it, or that anyone in the Chinese-Filipino community or Filipino-Chinese community cared, because yeah, like there's that whole expectation that they don't know much about art or they see art as just, well, waste of time, that kind of thing. And I'm inviting you to watch CHiNOY TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart.
My name is Stan C. I'm a radio DJ, a podcaster, a voice talent, an events host, and a writer. All things that you're not expected to be when you're Chinoy. I grew up in a traditional, stereotypical Chinese-Filipino household. So my dad is pure Chinese born in the Philippines. And my mom is literal na mestiza because my maternal grandmother was Bisaya. She came from Leyte. And yung maternal grandfather ko, who I never met, was an immigrant from China. So I really got it all in the sense na talagang Chinese-Filipino ako, and I can't just be one without the other. I feel privileged to be part of the One Chinoy campaign because I want to be the voice that starts these uncomfortable conversations, and it's high time that they happen because we have to look at who we are to understand where we come from. And that's a conversation that's long overdue. It's time to shock the system. And I'm inviting you to watch CHiNOY TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart.
Hi, my name is Tim Yap. I'm a host and eventologist. I'm proud to be Chinoy because I know I come from a bloodline of hard work. I come from a place where tough love was the norm, where we always had to work hard to get to where we are. It was always one step at a time. Nothing was given to us on a silver platter. I love being part of this One Chinoy campaign because it reminds us that we are one, right? That we are in a world that's becoming so tribal and into each other's, only into each other's. We need reminders that, hey, we are all one and the same. And I'm inviting you to watch Chinoy TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart.
I'm Wilson Lee Flores. I'm in the real estate business. Also, my hobby is writing a column in Philippine Star. I also own a bakery in Quezon City. I have Chinese and I have Filipino culture. That's 100% Filipino, 100% Chinese. So I'm 200% of a person. I'm 200% richer as a person. It's not like, there's no need to balance. I have to continuously learn to be both. Every single culture that enriches us is important. We should always analyze ourselves in order to be better human beings. And our ethnic Chinese minority in the Philippines, non-stop changes. We are experiencing non-stop changes every generation. We should be better. We should always strive to be better. By cherishing our heritage and our values, learning from our ancestors in order to be a benefit to the Philippines. I'm inviting you to watch CHiNOY TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart.
The modern Chinoy.
Where are you from? I said, I'm from the Philippines. But how come you speak Chinese? So there's always that ambiguity. Are you really Filipino or are you Chinese?
I've been asking questions all my life, like, am I Filipino enough or am I Chinese enough?
And then my uncle looks at me, you do TV? Hello, you're too singkit. So, meaning ba pag singkit, hindi ka pwede mag-TV?
At that time, it was at the height of the island dispute, and the Chinoys have been at the middle of the crossfire between the Chinese and the Filipinos. So because of that, we decided to address this because at that time, a lot of people are confused in terms of the loyalty of the Chinoys here.
Where does your nationalism or your patriotism lie? Does it lie with where your ancestors come from, or does it lie with where you were born and raised?
So, our manliligals always ask na may Great Wall ba yung pamilya niyo?
Funnily enough, I have never really dated a lot of Chinese girls. They scare me.
I really would like to grow up like a normal child. I really would like to go to the mall, watch a movie. But had it not been for this training of my parents, I would not be where I am today.
We should not lose out our Asian heritage. Yun ang fear ko, yun ang worry ko is it's easy to lose out our Asianness by all these overwhelming Western cultural influences.
I want to be the voice that starts these uncomfortable conversations, and it's high time that they happen because we have to look at who we are to understand where we come from.
No matter how it is run, this is our country. It is our lupang hinirang. We are just in one country, we are in one boat. Do not say why me, just say why not me.
Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart. Hashtag One Chinoy is brought to you by Doña Maria Premium Quality Rice, our Filipino farmers' hard work and dedication in every grain. BA Securities, your trading partner in Asia Pacific.
Today, when I look back, a lot of conservative and traditional parents will always view things as transactional. You do this, I'm going to do this for you. When they don't like what's happening, they become transactional as well. If you don't follow what I'm doing, you will be removed off from my will and my inheritance. If you don't marry this person, I will not even show up during the wedding. It doesn't mean they're bad, but they're still trying to transact their way into getting what they think will be best for the kids. The kids, on the other hand, while they understand transactional, they want relational. Now that I am a parent and I'm a grandparent already, I don't leave the transactional aspect, but I have to put in a lot of relational aspect as well. And the funny thing is, especially in the Chinoy community, there's just a lot of Chinese people who don't know how to express their affection. They don't know how to say, I love you, son. They will say, I love you, I love you. Why should I tell you that? I feed you, I give you house, I give you everything. Is that not love? Sometimes the kids just want time. Dad, I want to be with you. I'm too busy. How can I earn money? Don't you understand what I'm doing? I'm doing this for you so that I can give you everything you need. Yes, but are you giving them the things that they want? I'm Francis Kong. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a communicator, I'm a writer, I'm a book author, and I'm a family person. You know, I never imagined that one day I'll be writing books, but last count's been 24 so far. It all happened because I had a daily radio program, and then after listening to that program, people will send requests for transcripts. So I figured, Teka, why don't I just collect all those materials and made it come up as a book? And that is what precisely I did. And the first book I came up with was entitled Only the Real Matters. You know, when I was growing up, I'm a little bit different from my classmates because I'm essentially first-generation entrepreneur. My father was a very hard worker. He was a bookkeeper, but could not be a certified public accountant because of his citizenship at that time. My mom was a full-time housewife. They were extremely strict and very traditional. And it's always a command and controlled environment in our homes. They don't see the whole wide world outside the very house where we lived in. It's a tiny little small house along Jose Abad Santos Street in Tondo. My mom has a very strong character. One day when I came home, because I began to discover the beauty of the guitar as an instrument and I start strumming and playing, I had to borrow. She saw me playing the guitar. She immediately said, "So you like to play the guitar?" I say, "Yeah, Ma, why?" She says, "Why don't you put on a pair of sunglasses and get a tin can and then play in front of Quiapo Church, because that's what you're gonna be when you grow up." I knew there was nothing wrong with playing the guitar. And because she put it that way, I had that inner urge to prove her wrong. So the more I dove into the guitar, putting me in a place with a band, but during those days we called it combo. Today when I look back, what made them think the way they did? The mindset of my parents, they grew up in a war-torn world. My mom was the eldest child of 10 kids in a family, and they had to struggle with poverty. That kind of fear has motivated them. They don't want to see that situation happening to their kids. Some people are right-brained because they have an inclination towards the creative things in the arts. Some people now are extremely analytical. They love numbers. Many Chinese are. They love math. I'm a little bit a combination of both. But I would say that I think logically I'm analytical, and yet my inclination is towards creatives and arts. I get bored easily. I was dubbed a reputation by my schoolmates as Francis Kong, the dumbest kid in school. Now, something happened. And I can trace this back to the way I grew up. I met this beautiful girl when she was first year high school and I was second year high school. She became my childhood sweetheart. Today she's my wife. But then there was this challenge in me because out of sheer embarrassment, my girlfriend now is in college and I'm the only guy who goes to UST to fetch her wearing my khaki pants and my white shirt with my school pin on. That triggered my mind, and there's pressure. Here comes these traditional Chinese relatives, family members of my girlfriend then, having an emergency meeting, and I was the agenda, convincing her to leave me. Are you going to be giving your life to somebody who's a loser who can't even pass high school? That angered me. And I figured I'm not rich, I don't have a business to inherit. The only ticket for me to achieve something in life is to have good grades and education. So when I entered college with that anger again, channeling that energy and anger into positive things, I decided to do something I've never done before in my entire high school life. I studied. When I graduated top in my school with this, Latin honors, the very schoolmates that I had wouldn't believe it. They said, "No, that's impossible. You mean that dumbest kid in our school?" I think those were moments of vindication. Those were moments of getting this psychic reward and saying, "See, I've proven you guys wrong." One day I'll always remember when I walked up the stage and my mom had to, I think, borrow the little funds just to have a new gown made. And my dad brought me up the stage and they had to pin all those heavy metals on my chest. I still remember that smile, the smiles on their faces of pride and everything else. It is a smile and a look of disbelief, and yet delightfully surprised that I think our son had a future after all.
Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart. Hashtag One CHiNOY is brought to you by Cardinal Santos Medical Center, Progressive Laboratories, SM Supermalls, Waters Philippines, Evergreen Cereal, AgriPro, Premier Nutrition Incorporated, Global Diesel and GU Engineering, H&E Manufacturing Corporation, Vecco Paper Corporation, Nation Paper Products and Printing Corporation, Ford Tractor Philippines, your long-term agriculture partner. Japan Parts Bearing Corporation, now open in Caloocan. Pinturado Sellado Protectado Sigurado, AquaGuard Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint. Chua Bengteng. Alejandro Co. Jimmy C. Nung Family. Enrique Chua. Chan Kwan. Wu Chongzhen. Li Pue Chin. George Cham. William Goshako. Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart.
People say I love speaking, but writing is part of that. But this time, I think I'm going to be writing a lot more books and how you and I are going to have to respond to a world that is totally being changed by the pandemic. And I guess those books are going to come out very, very soon. My starting pay was 350 pesos a month. And here comes this episode of a very controlling mom. She wanted us to live in a house right across hers, not even caring how much rent I have to pay because she's been gifted with a grandson. Being the obedient son that I was, followed her advice. And then we were scraping and we were having difficulties with trying to make ends meet. One day I decided this is not going to be the case. I made a decision to leave that rental place and stayed with my father-in-law. Man, that was a major scandal in our house. The reason why my mom and my dad felt like it was a major scandal, I was betraying the Kong family name. I'll never forget that one day my mom said, "You are changing your name from Kong to Lim now." The number one problem that they felt they had to face is, what will my friends say? They weren't bad parents, but that's the kind of behavior and environment they had. As a matter of fact, I thought that I was a rare exception to the rule because most Chinese communities would not be behaving the way I was. Now, that may be the norm, but I'm preoccupied with a sense of survival. What's going to happen to me now that I have a family? So it's not about me anymore. It's now about my family. And so when the kids came along, I realized, hey, there are so many good things I learned from my parents, and I'm going to still share and pass on the same values to them. But what about the norms? Things are changing. Instead of coercion and intimidation, why not inspiration and encouragement? I posted something in my social media page. I'm extremely active there. I said, many people today are still living dysfunctional lives because they are either trying to live up to the expectations of their parents or still trying to prove their parents wrong. So I say, I don't want to make that mistake. If they come across with doing something that I'm not in agreement with, rather than saying, no, you're not allowed to do that, I now embarked on the better conversation method, which is asking questions. Why do you think you want to do that? What do you hope to achieve if you want to do that? But the conversation is not enough. You gotta have a pleasant face and a pleasant disposition, or else it's gonna come out as prescriptive or investigative, which they hate. And so that thing has worked. To illustrate my point, if you remember that portion in my life wherein I was strumming the guitar and here comes my mom with all of those negative remarks and all those predictions about how I'm going to be a beggar one day if I keep on playing that instrument. I never expected one day I'm going to have the same experience with my son Brian. When he was entering college, he says, "Dad, I want to join a band." You can immediately identify that mysterious surge of anger rising from the guts, growing up, about to leave the mouth. But this time I know better. And now I realize my mom wasn't wrong anyway. She was so concerned about the future. Would there be future in playing the guitar? And that's exactly the same sentiment I had, but I have to change the communication style. I now begin to look at my son and I said, "Oh, music, okay yan." As a matter of fact, maganda yan, ha? He was so wise, he immediately said, "Di ba, Dad, nag-combo ka pa nung araw?" I say, "Yeah." So, good, that's good. I'm gonna support you in music. But you support me rin. Entrepreneurial transactions. Sabi na, "Dad, how can I support you? I'm just entering college." I said, "No, you support me by taking a course as well. Baka naman you want to try entrepreneurship. Give it a try." He did. He proved that he can be good with music. Joined the band, created 3 CDs, became the first Filipino band that was invited to perform in South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. And then from that musical band, he met his Japanese owner of a digital studio who was so good in cooking Japanese food. Here comes that entrepreneurial spirit within him, urging his Japanese friend to put up a resto. And they came up with Crazy Katsu. That is a phenomenal success until today. If you want to sum up all these things, we want the best to happen to our kids. That's the mission. The mission remains the same, but the methods may change.
Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart. Hashtag One CHiNOY is brought to you by Cardinal Santos Medical Center. Xiangchu pork leg is your new partner in making your dishes more flavorful and extra special. Progressive Laboratories. Waters Philippines. Anchorland. PG Flex Linoleum and Maruyama Tarpaulin. Evergreen Cereal. AgriPro, Premier Nutrition Incorporated. Global Diesel and GU Engineering. H&E Manufacturing Corporation. Vecco Paper Corporation. Nation Paper Products and Printing Corporation. Ford Tractor Philippines, your long-term agriculture partner. Pinturado Sellado Protectado Sigurado, AquaGuard Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint. Miss Chinatown Foundation. Chua Beng Teng. Alejandro Ko. Jimmy C. Nung Family. George Cham. William Goshako. Are you the next Mr. and Miss Chinatown? Deadline for application is on October 15, 2021.
I can say that I grew up with both traditional and modern backgrounds. I am traditional in terms of my values and culture, and modern in terms of my approaches in life, especially in business development. My grandparents had a grocery store in our province, helping them spark my passion to sell things that people need. AutoKid actually started because we wanted to provide quality trucks that businesses need. AutoKid is a truck solution provider. We do our best to understand our customers, to help them grow their business from trucks, parts, and after-sales service. Even when the times were difficult because of the pandemic and lockdowns, we opened our stores to keep on providing trucks and after-sales service. We focus on serving our customers while minimizing our non-essential expenses. What the pandemic taught us is that you can never truly control how the world changes. What you can control is how you will strategize and continually adapt to these changes. Most of our teams communicate via the internet, so we are making sure that we have a fast and reliable internet connection to lessen our downtime, lalong-lalo na our sales are processed online, and we also check our stocks online. We have Globe Business Digital Solutions to provide a stable and reliable internet connections. For me, the most important virtue that a businessman should have is discipline. You will never be able to handle huge responsibilities if you do not have the discipline to manage your time, priorities, and commitments wisely. Hi, I'm Kevin Macaliao, CEO of AutoKid Truck Solutions. Through the changing times, tuloy tayo, SMEs.
Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart.
My grandmother was the matriarch. Out of love for her, we respected her greatly. And I know my father and my uncles all held her in high esteem. They may complain, behind her back, but they never said no to her. So that filtered down to us, her grandchildren, and that carried over to how I treated my parents, how I treated my uncles and my aunts. I guess it was the whole milieu of being in a traditional Chinese family.
My parents were different where they saw that I was drawing a lot, making my own comics, and they kind of encouraged it where they had me go to art classes, get tutored. I was mentoring under artist in Baguio, Norman Tan, and that's how I learned how to do fine arts. When I was gonna choose a course in college, I was the one who picked management to take, and my parents were the ones who were surprised that they thought I was gonna take fine arts and all that, so they were supportive.
For those who are in a similar position, who kind of want to follow their passions, follow their heart, if you may, but they're a little bit hesitant because their parents are probably not exactly for it because of their own love and protection. I think it goes down to communication. Really communicate to them that you can do it. Maybe even make an arrangement like, okay, mom, dad, ma, pa, oh, I have a safety net. Let me try this. But if it doesn't work, then maybe we can meet halfway. It's more of cooperation and communication, listening to each other, and really sharing to your parents that it will make you happy and it will make you grow.
If there's very important advice I'd like to give modern parents or modern CHiNOY parents is this: understanding that the times have changed. Mentoring now is a two-way street. And we can never bank on the equity of our position as daddy or mommy. Therefore, everything we say is law, but to provide a safe avenue to hear their voice because they want to be heard and to get ideas from them as well. But never compromising on trust, integrity, and values that will be the very framework for their being successful in the future. And to understand that as parents, we don't know everything. Two important things. Have fun, enjoy the company, build relationship without compromise on the values. And secondly, life is very short. Parents like us, we realize our kids are growing up fast and we're growing older faster. And so having them increasing the relationship now is worth a lot more than anything that you can assign a price tag on. If there's an avenue for me to be able to communicate with my parents, they're no longer there, I would face them today and say thank you. You suffered and sacrificed in ways that I was not able to see until it takes this long for me to appreciate it. I had to take care of my parents. With my father being frail as he was, I would imagine that I would sit beside him and watch a favorite Chinese telenovela together, because that was the day when he moved into my house now. But that was also the day when I had to do leadership training in Cebu. And he suffered a stroke. And when I came back, he was not there anymore. You see, sometimes when occasions like this happen, we get to realize all our angst and all of our concerns and upset and anger, they're all petty. They're all trivial. What is important is the relationship that we can build as we are with them while they're here. Raise up your family in an atmosphere of love, and they won't go wrong. Gotta give them the resource needed to enable them to enjoy that life is an abundant life and gift meant to be lived to the full. And that, I hope, will be something that you'll find useful.
For more information about today's episode, visit www.chinoy.tv. And subscribe to our YouTube channel for full episodes of Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart. Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart. #OneChinoy was brought to you by Doña Maria Premium Quality Rice, our Filipino farmers' hard work and dedication in every grain. BA Securities, your trading partner in Asia Pacific. Chinoy TV would like to thank
Mr. and Miss Chinatown embodies what it really means to be a Chinoy.
It's a movement rather than ordinary pageant.
In pageants, it's really important to be able to establish your core because that's who you are. When I was crowned Miss Chinatown, it was like an affirmation talaga for me to belong to a certain community. Parang you just are, and you just celebrate that.